Well, kia ora everyone. I have with me here Jody Takimoana. Jody is a member of Knox Church and is currently a member of Knox Church Council. Jody, you've been with Knox must be about 3 years now, eh? Is it? How long?
Yeah, I started coming about 3.5, 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
crazy. Time
seems
flies,
to have gone pretty quick.
Yeah, and I've gotten to know you not only through Knox, but also occasionally through some of my work at the university as chaplain. Occasionally I get across to the Polytech, and you work at the Polytech and the Māori Centre there. And I'm hoping to sort of talk with you a little bit about what you do. But firstly, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah. Kia ora, Jordan, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to have a chat and kōrero around the subject that we're going to be talking about. So I suppose ka tangata titi, ka tangata kaka, ka tangata hoki ahau, a tihei mauri ora, ko ruapehu te maunga, ko hautapu te awa, ko rongo marairua o ngā hau e whā, o whare te taua o Ngāti Tū mā tauinga, ko Ropata Takimoana te pāpa, ko Reiwan Takimoana te mama, ko Sonia Takimoana te wahine, ko Tamariki Brooke Takimoana, ko Jody Takimoana hau, tihei mauri ora. So just wanted to, I suppose, introduce myself to everybody in Māori, first of all, and acknowledge those people and acknowledge our Creator as well, and my whakapapa and the people whose shoulders I stand on. So ancestors, the mountains I come from, etc., etc. So first of all, that's kind of who I am. I suppose background-wise, I've had a Defence Force background for quite a number of years before I moved into secondary school teaching, and I taught at Tairi College here in Mosgiel, and then I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to come and work at Otago Polytechnic in the Kaitohutu office, which is our Māori development office, and working primarily initially with tauira. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk about your mahi at Polytech. The subject we're talking about is around sort of manaakitanga, in light of the Road to Emmaus journey, where Jesus breaks bread with the disciples and they recognize. Yes. And actually, when I've seen you in action at the Polytech, it's breaking bread with the tauira. So can you tell us about your work there? Can you tell us about what role Manaaki plays in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose first of all, manaakitanga within Otago Polytech is one of the core values, and it's kind of defined as caring within the Polytech framework, although it has a lot wider and broader understanding, as we'll probably talk a bit more about as we go along. And when I first started there, I started as what's called the kaiwhena tauira, so student-facing, primarily working with students around academic success. But one of the other things that we do is we provide a lunch. Te Punaki Ofiol provides a lunch for all Māori students across the motu, so across the campus, and they're welcome to come there at 12 o'clock. We do a karakia, we have a prayer, and then we share kai, basically. We and although the food is the reason to come, and is the attraction, it actually is more than that, because the students who, whichever course they're on or whatever they're doing or whatever struggles they're having, etc., it gives them a place to sort of meet and share whatever their problems are, and also they get to connect with us as well. So we do all the cooking, and they do the eating and the cleaning up is probably the way it's probably the way I would put it. But we have before the break we had a kind of we had a celebrationary type hangi, and it was just because of obviously the tough time we've had with COVID, because we can't be together as such. It was one of those times where we'd come out of red, so we were allowed to have kind of everybody in one spot, and you could just see the aroha in the room. It is a really kind of quite a special place, brought together by Kai, but is bigger than that. And it's just our way of expressing manaaki for our tauira, for our students.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of phrase. It's about the kai, but it's also bigger than that. And I want to explore that a little bit further, because I guess it seems to be quite a distinctive way that Maori tauira have an opportunity to come together in a way that Pakeha students don't, I've noticed, at least on the university campus. We're seeing in the pandemic major issues around isolation, mental health issues, people feeling disconnected. And within a Pakeha worldview, we don't seem to naturally provide opportunities for people to come together over kai and to share with one another. Can you share more a bit about the underlying value of manaakitanga, which is there at Otago Polytech, but also clearly being outworked here at the Māori Centre?
It's about sharing space with everybody, and being in each other's company, caring about each other, those little intimate moments, like we actually, you just greet somebody. It's being that's that whole kanohi to kanohi, that face-to-face moment, and that for me, that's what that is personally. Actually, I did find a wee reading by Dr. Henny Moore Elder, Jordan, that I thought might be quite. She speaks about it in her book Aroha, and it says manaaki is one of the cornerstones of our Māori worldview. It expresses the very essence of respectful caring and protection of others. Manaaki upholds generosity and providing hospitality. It is seen in the way that we take kai to others' homes when we visit, in the way that we take off our shoes when we visit others' homes, in formal cultural meetings. It can also be experienced on the marae of shared food after the formalities are completed. The importance of everyone having plenty to eat and the food is being delicious. Manaaki is about the subtle and intuitive kindness in the touch of the hand, the hug, recognizing each other's losses, pains, and triumphs. So I suppose that kind of encapsulates what we're trying to express at Otago Polytech when we're dealing with our tauira, and not just them as a learner, but as a whole person, making sure that we're acknowledging them from all those sides, their spiritual side, their emotional side, their mental health, all of those aspects, and that's kind of the real gift, I think, of what we trying to create, what we're trying to create there. So manaakitanga is a sense of kindness and giving, is what I would say.
And the dimensions of it, as outlined in the quote you just gave, show just how sort of deep and broad it goes as a concept. Into multiple elements of community life, and I really liked how it began around that concept of protection as well. You're coming under our protection. There's a deep sense of care tied up with it, which is wonderful. I'm keen to move on to, I guess, to Knox Church, and to start ask some hard questions about us. So, firstly, tell us about how and why you ended up at Knox of all places. What was it that drew you here in the first place?
I suppose for me personally, a lot of it is about how I feel when I'm in the space with the congregation, and without knowing it, that it was kind of that manaaki sense that was the thing that drew me the most. The people there, I found open and genuinely caring, and that to me was kind of the reason why I wanted to start coming to Knox, actually. So I feel very at home at Knox, and it's interesting. It's when you find a place like that, I think you feel it and you sense it. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You talk about Knox in that way, as I guess you use the word having a sense of monarchy and genuineness and genuine kindness among the people. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your experience of monarchy at Knox has been? Where we've done it really well, where you've kind of walked away being like, oh yeah, I feel like this is my place. And maybe where we haven't done it so well at times, where you've struggled and sort of had to journey through that. I mean, have there been any of those times for you?
For me, one of the things that I've missed about the whole lockdown thing has been actually the after when we go for a cup of tea next door. You know, I really that for me was kind of the time to really connect with people, if you like, and so. That's one of the things that I've found quite hard about, and it's through no one's fault. Within, you know, it has just been a natural way of doing things. But that was actually a real sense of monarchy for me. Like, you know, even though it was just a cup of tea and a biscuit and a ketchup, the connections people were making in that space is, to me, what we've just been talking about. And the wharikai was where the manaakitanga was happening. It's something that I've missed actually when I reflected on it. At some stage, that's something I would like us to kind of get back to, where we can share space and time with each other, you know, outside of our main service and type things, you know. So yeah, the other way I see manaki being displayed is and I think I spoke to you about it on Sunday, is John Elder is, since I came to Dunedin, he's been kind of the gentleman that would pop around and you know, and come and deliver the newsletter, you know, and it's quite interesting because when I first met him, I was taking a break from teaching, and I hadn't started at the Polytech, and I was kind of, you know, and just him turning up and just coming and saying, you know, how are you, hello, for half an hour made a huge difference, you know, like to to me personally, and you know, like, and that to me was a real indication of something that shows monarchy in a real time way. So you know, that kind of, I'd hope I see that quite a bit in the church, and it's something that I think we can do probably better going forward in the future as well, is make sure that we're connecting out into our church community that may not be able to be with us. So
there's a challenge there, eh? And
that
kikanohi, the face-to-face, is so important.
It is.
At the center of the church is this communion table, which points to manaki, the shared meal at the center of our life. And yet the way we celebrate communion is often very sort of individualistic. You don't talk to anyone else. You don't face anyone else. You don't engage with anyone else. And it seems so far from that meal that Jesus shared with his disciples, where he's face to face with them, he's breaking bread around a table with them. What do you think the church today has to learn from the concept of manaakitanga? What does a church shaped by manaakitanga look like?
A church that's shaped by manaakitanga would be open, would be inclusive of all. It would talk about aroha, which is in a very simple sense is love, but it's actually a lot broader than that. It's a little bit like manaakitanga. It's got a much bigger meaning than that. The wraparound and the care for and support for one another should be evident, you know, within the group, within the congregation, within the respective councils, etc. You know, everybody should feel that everyone else is supporting and connected to one another. And the other key thing for me would be that it would have God at the center of everything that we do, regardless of what it is, as long as we put God at the center, I think things are, they're only going to be for the better. So that's kind of that for me. If a church that's shaped by that manaakitanga, that's what it would look like to me.
Oh, kia ora. I'm aware that you and I have a meeting to be at 1
yes,
minute.
We do.
So, but I do want to. So we need to wrap it up. But I was struck by that comment you made just at the end there of us being on a journey. We're still on the road, and actually, the road to Emmaus story is the story of Jesus on the road with his disciples. He shares manaki with them, and then they continue on the road together. And it seems to me that's a good note to end on. We've just kind of dipped our toes in the water here, and as you said, you sort of introduced this whole other concept of aroha, and it's like, okay, we can spend a whole other evening on that.
Wow, yeah.
Kia ora, Jody.
Maybe that's for another korero.